Let's bring in Kentucky Congressman James Comer, who is set to chair the House Oversight Committee, going to be looking into this issue in depth. So, Congressman, we got the president's first remarks on these documents yesterday, and he said that he was surprised to learn that they were even in his office at the Penn Biden Center. What went through your mind when you heard him say that?
Well, I don't dispute that he was surprised, but the first thing that went through my mind was the fact that when this was discovered supposedly on former President Trump, Joe Biden was quick to condemn the president and call the president irresponsible for having classified documents and having them in an unsecure location. So, he didn't seem to be as outraged over his own wrongdoing as he was over the former president's. But look, as Republicans, we're just asking for equal treatment here. We're just asking that the Department of Justice treat Joe Biden in the same manner they treated Donald Trump. I mean, every president has a history of accidentally taking documents with them that may or may not have been classified. It's been a problem with every president, yet no other president other than Donald Trump was raided by the FBI and put through the ringer like Donald Trump was put through. What we found out about these documents with Joe Biden is supposedly there were only a handful of documents, and they turned them in to the Department of Justice or the archives immediately. Well, when Donald Trump was there, they searched his house. They searched Melania's closet. They went all through. They sent essentially a team, a SWAT team, so to speak, of FBI agents into Mar-a-Lago. They obtained the security cameras at Mar-a-Lago. They didn't do any of this with Joe Biden. So we just want to know what the difference is and, why there was such a discrepancy in how the former president was treated versus the current president.
There are two main issues here. You extrapolated on the first one, which is this two-tiered system of justice. The other is the apparent connection between this Penn Biden Center and China. Let's walk through the details. The University of Pennsylvania announcing the creation of the Penn Biden Center in February 2017. It opened its doors in February 2018. The university then receiving $15.8 million in anonymous Chinese gifts that year, including one in May, for a staggering $14.5 million. Will you be looking into what, if anything, China got for those donations as it pertains to the Biden records?
Absolutely. We already had the Biden Center on our radar screen for just the reason that you mentioned, the anonymous donations from China. Now, let's think about this. The Biden Center, anonymous donations from China. Then you have the artwork, anonymous art buyers, and we're pretty certain they were from China. Then you look at one of the suspicious activity reports that Hunter Biden generated. There was a $1 million transfer to Hunter Biden's account from an anonymous source in China. I mean, this is unprecedented to have anonymous donations in the $1 million range going directly to the immediate family of Joe Biden. It's almost as if there's a money trail from the Biden front door all the way to China, and it's anonymous sources. This is a problem. This is why Republicans are going to investigate the Biden family influence peddling. We're concerned that this White House is compromised because of the millions of dollars they've received from China.
Congressman, who is ultimately responsible for revealing to the American people that these documents were found in the first place? Because they were discovered about 6 days before the midterm elections, and we're only learning about them now. So would it be the Biden administration's responsibility or the DOJ?
Well, Joe Biden said he was going to be the most transparent president in history when he was a candidate, and I think we could make a strong argument that he's the least transparent president in history. The National Archives is supposed to brief the chairman and ranking member of the House Oversight Committee in a situation like this, but yet they never did that.
Do you think that's politically motivated?
Well, it appears to be politically motivated. I mean, look how serious they took what Donald Trump did and how, there's just this nonchalant attitude about Joe Biden. And, the media yesterday when this story broke, they were catching me in the hall, the mainstream media, and they were saying, oh, but there's a big difference. He immediately reported this and turned this in, and there were only 10 documents. Well, how do we know that? That's just what they said. Listen, this administration has a long history of not telling the truth. And the fact that with Trump, they see security cameras, so they knew who was going in and out. They went in, searched every room, including Melania's closet. Yeah. But yet here it doesn't appear they did any type of search. They just took Joe Biden's lawyer's word for it. And who are those lawyers? And who is paying those lawyers? There are a million questions that we have. And for the National Archives to not give us the courtesy of giving us an update, it's pretty concerning.
I want to get your thoughts, speaking of China, on what seems to be, quite frankly, bipartisan agreement. Both parties on board with the creation of a new committee examining U.S. strategic cooperation and competition with China. Here's House Speaker Kevin McCarthy on how Joe Biden has worsened our relationship with China. Listen.
It didn't start under this administration. But the current administration has clearly made it worse. Their policies has weakened our economy and made us more vulnerable. But here's the good news. There is bipartisan consensus that the era of trusting communist China is over.
I think there's a couple things highlighted in there. The fact that this is a bipartisan committee, as Kevin McCarthy said, the Biden administration is not on board with what we need to do with regard to China is somewhat shocking. They should be the leaders of this. But more specifically, what is this committee going to do to help America and really make sure that China is kept in check?
Well, we all know that China's been stealing our intellectual property. They've been stealing our patents. They manipulate their currency. And we've lost a lot of good-paying manufacturing jobs to China. A bipartisan issue is to bring those manufacturing jobs back to the United States. There shouldn't be any discussion over that. Yet last year, when we were in the minority, Speaker McCarthy tried to get Nancy Pelosi to go along with this China task force, and she wouldn't do it. Now we've done it. There are obviously a lot of Democrats that support this and want to be involved with this task force and this issue, but yet now the administration said, oh, it's not needed and all this. This is another example of our concern as to why we're worried that this administration may be compromised by China. I don't think the American people realize how much money from China to the Biden family accounts has been transferred over the past decade. This example from the Biden Center is the newest example, but the whole laptop issue is filled with instances where the Biden family, not just Hunter Biden, but Jim Biden as well, was receiving money from China, and they were anonymous sources.
Yeah, and there are also reports that in these classified documents, some of them related to Ukraine, and then you think about Hunter Biden's business dealings in Ukraine, and could there be a possible connection there? We don't know yet. Maybe we will one day find out. Attorney General Merrick Garland did appoint the U.S. attorney out of Chicago to look into these classified documents, and if anything that rose to the level of illegal occurred. He's a Trump appointee. So does that give you confidence that this will be handled fairly?
Not really. The concern I have is this happened November 2nd, apparently. And we're just now finding out about it. And the only reason we're finding out about it is because a reporter from CBS News somehow broke the story. So if that reporter hadn't broken that story, we wouldn't know about it. So why didn't they disclose it then on November 2nd? Obviously, it was right before the election. And remember, Joe Biden made the closing argument to the American people during the midterm elections that Republicans were a threat to democracy. And he highlighted the raid at Mar-a-Lago as one example why Republicans were a threat to democracy. So he knew the whole time that the same thing happened to him, but yet they covered it up like they have done so many of the scandals in the past. Finally, Republicans are in control. Finally, we have a gavel. Finally, we have subpoena power, and we're going to start these investigations as we speak and try to get answers for the American people.
You certainly will. You've got a lot on your plate, Congressman. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.